It's the 6th version of the Coachella Valley Invitational. Here in 2026, 12 MLS teams competing against each other, training during the week, and this, the final day of competition. For your opener here, it's going to be the Minnesota United under Cameron Knowles in his first season as the head coach, and Charlotte FC. They have Dean Smith at the helm. He's in his third year with the club. Alan Chapman will be the referee today. You can see him walking in a moment towards the center circle where Charlotte in their dark kits. And we'll get to the starting lineups. Pep Biel is in the 11 with the Charlotte going with what could be their opening day lineup. There are some question marks as to a couple of depth challenges within the lineup. Charlotte on the left, and there's Minnesota in their blue on the right. For Minnesota, it'll be Drake Callender in goal. They play with a three-back system. Morris Dugan, Michael Boxall, DJ Taylor. Wingbacks on the left, Anthony Markanek and Bangule Huangwane. And in the midfield, Will Trapp, Nectarius Triantis, and Joaquin Pereira. He is the attacking midfielder. Julian Gressel gets the start today, and Kelvin Yaboa will lead the front line for Minnesota United. We're underway here at Indio, California's Coachella Valley Invitational. Mid-April, the music will hit these fields. This is an MLS preseason event that when you talk to all the coaches, they are certainly happy with the conditions and the fact that many of them, like a Minnesota in particular, they get out of the cold weather. Anybody from the Northeast, Midwest, even Charlotte. Charlotte's had some brutal moments weather-wise as well. Markanek taken down by Pep Biel. And it's Michael Boxall on the ball. He is the 37-year-old leader of the back. He marshals with check that. I've got Minnesota with Dugan now, launching it forward, and Charlotte back on it, but recovering quickly was Triantis. This is Markanek. He will never be fearful of unleashing the shot. How about 9 goals a season ago? And he had 2 goals plus an assist in a 3-0 win for Minnesota United over Sporting KC to open the festivities here back on February the 7th. Minnesota coming off their best year, 16 wins, 8 losses, and 10 draws, finishing 4th in the West Conference. Charlotte also finished 4th in the East, 19 wins, 13 losses, and a couple of draws, just 2 draws for Dean Smith's team. But both sides setting franchise records in a number of categories. Markanek again. Markanek was a former first-round draft choice out of Northern Illinois. That was 2022. Went to Colorado, then St. Louis City, and now has played 29 games in Minnesota and had his most productive year as a professional last season. Dugan on the ball is a 25-year-old from Germany. And Drake Callender, who had an interesting 2025 to be certain. Ball driven forward out of the back and handled nicely. That was Nathan Burns. So let's get the starters for Charlotte, and then we'll continue. They've got Christian Kalina in goal, David Schnegg, Tim Ream, Andrew Privet, and Nathan Byrne. That's their back 4. And here a chance in front, and denied is Markanek, and there's the fullback 6 yards from goal, which is one of the reasons he has good moments on the tally sheet. Kalina is down for the moment. The rest of the starters as we take another look at how this was created. Pereira, as he normally is, involved. A wonderful, that's a four-player combination with Marcanic recognizing it and darting a run inside, but also clattering into Kalina. Fair challenge. And you can see Marcanic, he came out of it with a bit of a knock as well, slight limp. After the back four for Charlotte, Ashley Westwood, Luca Della Torre. He's in the midfield with Westwood. And the front four of Pep Biel as the number 10, Wilfred Zaha, Eden Taklamati, and Liel Abada. So the DPs, 3 out of the 4 up top. Kalina still being tended to. This the precursor to opening day. This will be the last event for both these sides. February 21st is MLS opening day. Charlotte will be on the road against St. Louis. Minnesota also will be away from home, and they might be thankful for that as they'll open up the season in Austin. The big news in Minnesota has been obvious over the last week. The addition of James Rodriguez, 34 years old, unattached at the time, and certainly in search of a club to help him prepare for the World Cup with Colombia, where he made his mark as a professional in 2014, winning the Golden Boot, and was just sensational, some of the goals he scored. And he made the transfer to Real Madrid after his performance in that cup. So that was a life-changing experience for him. He's always performed well with his national team, and his preparation is going to be with Minnesota United. He will not play today. There was some question as to whether he might participate in the Coachella Valley Invitational at some point. It will not happen. He has been with his teammates, still working, looking for the proper paperwork to be eligible to compete. And thus far, getting a chance to talk to Kelvin Yeboah yesterday, and he's just said, I've already learned so much from him, and seems to have genuine joy being in Minnesota, or for sure finding a club that has a desire to add him so that he can work on his game as well leading into the summer. At some point I'll read some of the quotes from his presser, because there were some interesting statements as Khaled El Ahmad, who is the sporting director and CEO of the club, it was he and Hamas in the presser. Got the deal done. This ball launched, and that's Yeboah giving chase, and Privet, who has worked his way into the lineup or under consideration nicely for Dean Smith, teamed up with Tim Ream at the back. Minnesota still providing some impetus, and there's a curling shot that just missed the target. Pereira, Joaquin Pereira. He's coming off a season where he tallied 6 times to go along with a team-high 11 assists. Designated player, and the Argentinian has been worth every penny in his contributions to Minnesota. And there, just missed the target. In Minnesota's 3-0 win over Sporting KC, Pereira was involved in 2 of the goals. Won a delicate chip to find Marcanic, who put back his own rebound from a shot. And then Pereira just serving about a 40-yard ball right to the chest of Marcanic, and he brought it down. And then a little square ball to Kelvin Yeboah, and those were 2 of the 3 goals in that shutout over Sporting KC. This is Nathan Byrne, 33 years old, joined Charlotte FC from Derby County, born in St. Albans, England. Ball switched now as Minnesota wins it back. That's DJ Taylor. Taylor, a Raleigh, North Carolina native. Marcanic slips a nice little ball into Julian Gressel. Gressel getting the start today and couldn't handle the initial touch there, and winning the air ball challenge is Morris Dugan over the top of Eden Toklamati. Minnesota putting the pressure on again. Yeboah chasing Byrne for a moment. Now he'll leave it for Julian Gressel to do the defensive work. No call from Alan Chapman, as it appeared Gressel may have shoved Byrne to the deck, and then he helps him up. On the left for Charlotte, that's Schnegg. Schnegg puts it across, and Marcanic, using the left foot off the half volley, just kind of flicked it to clear. And Zaha is fouled. He was the most fouled player in MLS a season ago. Had a very interesting press conference a couple of weeks back where he felt strongly that there still was not enough protection for the amount of times that he was fouled. For the record, it wasn't enough. And Dean Smith concurred. I sat down with Dean Smith this morning to break some bread and go over things for the team today, and he agreed. He said, yeah, he led the league in fouls suffered, but there were many more that weren't called. And both of their considerations were for players like Zaha, entertaining. So the call is for the referees to protect those players. That's who the supporters come out. They want to see how they operate. It'll be a free kick, curling, back post. Tim Ream is there to pop it high into the air, and then leaping equally high, Drake Callender, the 28-year-old for Minnesota United. Yeah, Callender in 2025, he started with Miami, but Oscar Ustari ended up winning the job. So then there was a trade to Charlotte where he never played. And then $450,000 in GAM later, he has been presented here to Minnesota. Guy who got one international call-up for the U.S. Under Greg Berhalter. That was in 2023. Did not appear, so no caps for Callender. And not in the mix for the World Cup this summer. Here comes Minnesota. Pereira finds the overlapping Taylor. That's Taylor, who's playing right central defense, getting himself forward. Haven't talked too much about the new coach, Cameron Knowles. Knowles was an assistant under Eric Ramsey, who near the start of preseason accepted a position with West Brom, trying to prevent them from being relegated in the championship. Well, it hasn't worked yet. They have gone 8 games without a win at West Brom. Ramsey trying to work that out. And meanwhile, Cameron Knowles, who played in MLS, RSL, Portland, Montreal, coached as an assistant at Portland when they won MLS Cup. But he is in search of a little bit more possession this year for Minnesota, and he's added Josh Wolf as an assistant who enjoys a rhythm to the game. Minnesota, admittedly, not the most pleasant team to observe, but they had success in the way they played. The games were not in rhythm that they would play, but that was a purposeful intent by Eric Ramsey. And then the set pieces. 21 of their 56 goals came off of dead balls. And as Cameron Knowles said yesterday, probably there were really more if you think of second and third phase of the dead ball situations. And 7 of those came from throw-ins. So it's, and he basically said, that's not going to change. We are going to take advantage of the fact that we have the personnel to connect on set pieces. Here's Zaha on the run. That's poked away. Zaha, how about that? 496 games as a professional, 100 goals, 52 assists, a majority of those with Crystal Palace, where he has certainly reached legendary status, or now that he's departed. Did have a stay at Galatasaray. In fact, he is on loan from Galatasaray, and that loan here to Charlotte ends, Zaha on the ball, in June before the World Cup. So there is some interest as to what might happen after that. Zaha down on the deck right now, and Charlotte with their first foray into the attacking third with some possession and opportunity, and they will get a corner ball out of it as Pep Biel forced that. But Zaha's situation is one to watch. He did say in that same presser where he was discussing the referees and greater protection, when someone asked about the potential contract discussions, he said not till the end of preseason, and then we will start the negotiations. So there'll be a lot of interest around MLS and in particular in Charlotte to see how that one goes. "15 minutes gone by. The final day here at the Coachella Valley Invitational 2026. My name is Glenn Crooks. Great to have you with us. And as you can see on some of the shots from our production crew, just a wonderful backdrop for these games. This is Field 2, where the sun is behind us. Field 1, they also have a match in action right now. Chicago against the Portland Timbers. Dugan. That's Ashley Westwood in the midfield. Check that. Will Trapp coming back into the midfield. Wrong side. Minnesota in the light blue. Will Trapp is 33 years old, Columbus, Ohio native, has played his entire professional career in MLS. Played on the Crew Academy. There's Trapp trying to play square, and that's deflected away, so Charlotte has it back. Crew Academy, then he joined the Crew, the first team, for 185 games. Went to Miami for a bit, and has been with Minnesota since the 2021 season. So he has seen the progress, which last year culminated in the most points, wins, fewest goals allowed, most clean sheets in history, and a Western Conference semifinal appearance in the playoffs where they dropped the knockout game to San Diego. But they advanced past Seattle in 3 games, and both those wins were in penalties for Minnesota. Perhaps appropriate, this dead ball specialist team, and they advanced through penalties. Boxall. He's going to have a fun year. New Zealand in the World Cup. And Boxall at the age of 37. Rosters have not been announced, but he'll be part of that squad. And .60 caps for Boxall's more pressure from Minnesota. They've had a bulk of the leading plays that look like there might be something promising occurring. And then they had that one moment where Marcanic, who had 2 goals in Minnesota's opener here, and 9 goals a season ago from his fullback spot, had the best chance. Kalina was down injured for a bit as they collided. Kalina's a good keeper. We have 2 very good keepers here today. That's Kalina with the catch, and he's the 2024 MLS Goalkeeper of the Year. Was not as sharp in the early stages last year for Charlotte, but ended strong and finished the year with a save percentage of 77%, which is exceptional. Byrne, Luca Della Torre. A number of interesting stories in this game today. Della Torre, who Dean Smith has called the connector, and that's certainly the way he has played wherever we've seen him. Celtic Vigo is where he had come from when on loan with San Diego FC, where he was instrumental in the early stages. But then Ani Valakari, he took over with more minutes in the midfield. Here's Charlotte. Pep Biel, the favored left. Great curler, and just over the head, glancing past Toklamati, and he had Zaha behind him. I'm not sure if Zaha had tried to call him off, because Wilfred Zaha may have had the best chance to finish that one. Toklamati down. Alan Chapman bending over to see, and there's Wilf Zaha. 10 goals, 12 assists, so double digits on both sides. Goal contributions, Biel, that's very typical of him. And now you see the unbalanced nature of Toklamati as he was looking to go high and head that ball down, but it ended up curling over his head, and in his effort to get high, he was slightly undercut and just fell awkwardly. He's going to be fine. The hip will be sore. He'll go into the ice chamber after the match and see how it feels tomorrow. His feeling will be as long as it's good for the opener at St. Louis. Kelvin Yeboah gets past Nathan Byrne, but there's a host of defenders. Luca Della Torre dropping in for the midfield, and that forces the switch. It was Will Trapp now on the ball. Hlongwane, the wingback. And Minnesota earns a corner. Hlongwane is 25 years old, a South African. Played professionally in South Africa for 4 years before his arrival with Minnesota. 19 caps for South Africa, who have qualified for the World Cup for the first time since 2010 when they hosted. Pereira, right at the near post. Ooh. Great delivery. Another reason that Minnesota is so effective in set pieces inside the lines. We know Michael Boxhall can get the long throw in, which causes a lot of havoc. But that delivery from Pereira, an example. Effective set pieces. It starts with delivery, and then the finishing touch, or sometimes the second ball, third ball. But you need delivery, and Pereira, 11 assists a year ago. Easy catch, Kalina. Toklamati, Boxhall. Boy, it looked like he swept that pass back to his keeper, but there was a foul called prior to that on Boxhall. It was Toklamati who wrestled him a little bit too heavily. So Toklamati, he's got the pace advantage on Boxhall, but there's the veteran status of using your body as center backs. The effective ones know exactly what they're doing, and it's a big body, Boxhall. Here's Toklamati against Boxhall again. That one deflected and allows Minnesota to go the other way. So a little end-to-end at the moment. Pereira, he glided past two defenders for Charlotte. Now it's Lagwane on the right. Will Trapp just in a nice little support position, has a lot of room, no pressure on the service. Service blocked there. Markanek with the delivery. Now Gressel. That one hung in the air, but Trapp is able to nod it to his right, and that's where Lagwane is. Inside run Trapp, trying to return the favor, and just couldn't do it. But Lagwane on it again. And here's the crossing ball, and it skips past Kalina, and that'll be a throw-in for Charlotte FC. More pressure from Minnesota, but unable to convert. Cameron Knowles, their new head coach. He joined Minnesota as a video analyst, and then 2 years as the Minnesota 2-team coach in MLS Next Pro. And then the first team assistant, the interim before Eric Ramsey arrived after 3 games in 2024. And now after Ramsey leaves for West Brom, Cameron Knowles taking over for the 2026 season. Air game won by Dugan over Toklamati. And coming way back from his striker position, Yaboa to gain possession for Minnesota. Michael Boxhall. Also their first World Cup, New Zealand, since 2010, like South Africa. Although New Zealand had to earn qualification that year, South Africa via hosting. That's how they got in. U.S., Canada, Mexico, they're the hosts this summer, beginning on June the 11th. Lagwane on the left. Yaboa takes the shot and hits it over the bar. Yaboa has scored 9 goals in each of his last 2 seasons for Minnesota, but in the 2024 season, we see the little move with the outside of the right boot, and you can see what he was attempting to do, just curl it into the top corner. So that's 2 shots from Minnesota, one from Yaboa, one from Pereira. Pereira on the opposite side using his left foot, trying to curl it to the back post. Yaboa doing the same thing. If those 2 shots were precise, both of them would have been goals. So Yaboa, 9 goals in 2024. He did that in 12 games. He came on and scored goals in 5 of his first 6 games as a member of the club. 9 goals in 2025. That was in 33 games. So we had a good conversation, and he's hopeful to move into double digits this year. Corner ball coming up for Minnesota. And that was DJ Taylor again, a central defender. So you see when he goes, and he's the one that's usually going forward, Dugan and Boxhall, they're holding. But they're not going to hold now. They're coming in. We're talking 6'2", 6'3", and their presence in the area off this corner ball from Joaquin Pereira, the Argentinian. He'll have a target spot. This time it's more mid-6, and an awkward clearance, but successful at that, and a 2-versus-2 break led by Zaha. Now to Liel Abada, the designated player, and Will Trapp does well to slide and make sure that Abada's progress is halted and the ball out of play, and that gives his teammates also from Minnesota time to get behind the ball and organize defensively. Ashley Westwood, one of his few touches. Well, he'll get on the ball, the defensive midfielder. 35 years old, captain for the side. a massively welcome addition to this club. Zaha right at the elbow and does it nicely to find Pep Biel at the back post. It's a free header, and coming across, Drake Callender to make the save. Also, there was Marcanic. It was one or the other. They were both there at the near post. It looked like Biel was just going to have that free header and not at home for the 1-0 lead. Denied. We're going to get a look at it here. It starts with Zaha slipping the ball nicely to Biel, and Marcanic running in front. Good coverage by Minnesota. Biel curls it, and Drake Callender, he read that all the way. But Biel and Pereira, you're seeing two of the best deliverers of the ball in MLS, whether in the run of play or off of the dead ball situations. Final tune-up before these two teams open up. Charlotte at St. Louis, Minnesota at Austin. February 21st they'll play. Second game of, well, my personal doubleheader coming up here on Field 2 will be New York City against San Jose. 1 p.m. local, 4 p.m. Eastern. Yaboa. He's got Gressel running on his left. He's got Pereira on his right. Argentinian gets it to the left foot, and again he's going for that far corner to beat Kalina and misses the target. That one from a little bit closer range than the previous attempt in the run of play by Pereira. And quick restart for Charlotte. Here's Biel, slides it across, and the second ball is knocked wide. And Toklamati is holding his left leg and having some issues at the moment. Minnesota was caught napping there a little bit, flat-footed as Minnesota started it quickly. Another corner kick coming up. This time they'll play it short. Biel to Zaha. This is a rehearsed play. Look for this to go to the back post. Indeed, and half volley by Biel. Put it on target, and Callender just did a little reflex scoop. And now he'll push it out to his right. And here comes Minnesota. So Charlotte, the last few minutes, has awakened on the attacking side and come up with two very clear opportunities in front of Drake Callender. You could probably give it three. Boxall will chase it down. No pressure, so he can take his time and has a chance to look up. And so Will Trapp, he'll try to create from that deep midfielder role. Glancing header, inadvertent to Marcanic. What can he do with it? Tries to beat the keeper, Kalina, at the near post. It's out, and it's another corner kick for Minnesota United. Tough angle for Marcanic, but he didn't really have any runners in the area. You could cut this back and wait, but he thought he might be able to squeeze that past Kalina, who had the front post marshaled just right. We see keepers these days, sometimes they anticipate the ball across and leave the front post. Kalina held firm. Julian Gressel. That's headed clear by Privet. Trapp. Thank you. The result of a windy day. Some papers blowing below the bleacher, and thankful for someone having a pole with a clamp that could lift it up to it. That was pretty interesting. Back to the game. About 11 minutes remaining in the opening 45 on field 2. Still no score. Chances, though, on both sides. Gressel. Little looping ball. Both teams are going to push to at least 60 minutes with the starters, and in several cases try to get it to the 90-minute mark. Every coach looks at these things a little differently, and a lot has to do with the GPS and the analytics. But trying to get to 90 the week before the opener. Long throw, that's part of the Minnesota repertoire, and defended well by Charlotte. That was DJ Taylor who launched it. Back on the other side, Kelvin Yeboah. He tries kind of a little reverse shot on the deck. Kalina, though, not enough pace on that to really bother Kalina, and he'll distribute quickly. And Charlotte FC, club record 55 goals a year ago. But a disappointing end of the season, finishing 4th, setting a lot of club records, but they had the home field advantage in their best of 3 with the New York City Football Club. And here's a bicycle kick and a goal overhead from Eden Taklamati. What a wonderful finish. Not a pure bicycle, but acrobatic nonetheless. And Charlotte, with about 9 minutes to go before we get to the interval, they take the 1-0 lead. A pleasure to look at this again and give credit to Liel Abada, who floated it up nicely. He had several targets in the area. Minnesota a little loose defending, and there you see it. Taklamati. Now, preseason goals, even when they're spectacular, don't often get the social media presence that they deserve. That one will, I think. 11 goals a season ago, with Patrick Ajamong in July transferring to Darby County. He was the leading scorer at the time, but as Dean Smith told me this morning, Taklamati was competing for time at the moment that Ajamong transferred. Nathan Byrne outraces Julian Gressel, and that hesitation move allows him to play one into the channel after he got free from Gressel. But here's Dugan, Morris Dugan, wrapped, and that wrap-up is a foul. And here's Callender for Minnesota United. When New York City played LAFC, they led late, but it was Denny Bwanga with a spectacular finish, popping it up with his right foot to get it over the defender, and then a full volley with the left. And in behind, it's Hlongwane, and it's 1-1. Well, back-to-back goals, one for Charlotte, the answer by Minnesota, and the dancing Kelvin Yeboah and Banji Hlongwane. Well, there have been quality chances on both sides where the conversions were not happening, but here we go. And that little dink over the top, I believe that was Will Trapp who put it over, and Hlongwane, as the keeper came out, drew him well. That's pace personified. Getting behind the defense, Tim Ream and Andrew Privet caught high on that, and That allowed Longwane to get him behind, but no pressure on the ball for Trapp's service. That's the key there. And he and Longwane were on the same page, and it produced a goal, the equalizer here at the Coachella Valley Invitational, and that's Trapp. You saw him scan after he won the ball just to see what was happening in behind, and Yabo was hoping to get another chance. Ream disrupted that. Tim Ream expected to be a member of the 26 for the World Cup for the U.S. He's played 17 games for Mauricio Pochettino since Pochettino's debut in October of 2024. Ashley Westwood. That's Schnegg on the left. David Schnegg. It's back to Biel now. Now Schnegg. Natural left foot. Well done. And Callender showing his athleticism to get high, catch it, and rolls it out quickly. Schnegg is definitely an interesting player, and on the left side there's depth. He and Harry Toffolo will go at it to see who earns the most minutes this year on that left side. Schnegg, for his part, he led DC United in minutes played in 2025. DJ Taylor. The goal scorer, Longwane, poor first touch, popped up on him, and that allowed Zaha to get the ball and draw the foul. He's chatting with Alan Chapman. Now, I wonder, you know that every referee, everybody in the pro referee department heard that press conference, or at least listened back if they didn't hear it live, where Zaha was pleading for more protection from the referees. Most fouled player in MLS a season ago, nonetheless. Westwood from Schnegg finds Privet, and now Ream. Here's Zaha again. Wanted to work a combination with Toklamati, who just really fanned on the return. No score behind us on field one, where Chicago is playing Portland. East versus West in 3 of the 4 games being played today. Underlapping burn against Minnesota United, and Julian Gressel and Westwood. He wanted to change that and do it probably more with a drive than a float. That allowed DJ Taylor to step in front of Zaha, and it's a partial clearance as Westwood and Charlotte are back on the ball. Now Ream. Ream and Luca Della Torre, who's on it now and playing it to Ream. They played together briefly at Fulham. Actually, Della Torre made his debut at Fulham while Ream was there. Ream more games with Fulham than any other professional team. He's certainly an American landmark fixture there. Marcanic and Trapp. 33 years old, Will Trapp. Marcanic trying the cutback. It was deflected partially, so that made things easier for Charlotte. And DJ Taylor, even though it was a half volley, he knew there was a lot of space, so plays it back to Callender, who then launches it. There were 3 players maybe in an offside position at the moment he touched that, and you could see them jogging back and leaving it for the central defense of Charlotte and Andrew Privet. Curling ball nicely to Toklamati. That was from Westwood. Kelvin Yaboa, Accra, Ghana native. He's Ghanaian and Italian, dual citizen, and has played with the Italy 21s. Still has aspirations, hopefully, to one day be called up by one or the other. At 25 years of age, he understands that certainly this year in particular, on the club level, he's going to be vital. Longwane lost the handle for a moment. It's recovered by Taylor. Biel avoiding Gressel. He didn't, but he was also fouled. Gressel's in there today as a starter. Thomas Shankade had to depart for some paperwork, and he'll be back for the opener, but not available today, so Gressel gets his chance. Gressel's 32 years old. Guy who played at Providence College, came over from Germany, played at Providence for 4 years. Then the 8th overall pick, Atlanta United, and won an MLS Cup there. And then it was DC United, Vancouver, Columbus, Miami. And that's Callender gobbling it up. And now Minnesota for Julian Gressel. He had 14 assists that year. That's 2018 when Atlanta won MLS Cup. And that's Alan Chapman with a whistle, and that indicates we are at the interval. And we're all tied up at 1-1. Toklamati scoring first to open it for Charlotte, give them the 1-0 advantage, and then just minutes later, Longwane equalized for Minnesota, and that's where we are after 45 minutes, 1-1 at the Coachella Valley Invitational 2026. Sunshine in Indio, California. Wonderful backdrop, as you can see, as a wonderful first half of play, highly entertaining. Goals came late, first from Eden Taklamati for Charlotte, and then Banjit Longwane, he tied it up for Minnesota. So that's where we are after 45 minutes here at the Coachella Valley Invitational. One more game after this. It'll be New York City against the San Jose Earthquakes coming up. When we return, it'll be the start of the second half. It's 1-1, Charlotte and Minnesota. Charlotte and Minnesota all square at halftime, just a few minutes away before we kick off the second half here in Indio, California at the Coachella Valley Invitational 2026. Getting a look at some highlights, and here was an early opportunity, and that was Pereira, who served a wonderful ball into Marcanic, and you see that Kalina, he came off his line and denied. Pereira trying a shot from the outside, couldn't curl it past Kalina. Kalina was down on that initial take for a while. And then another left footer who likes to curl it to the back post. This time, though, it's Pep Biel for Charlotte. You're getting a good look at it here. And the shot ended up wide of the target by Zaha. Now a near post opportunity for Charlotte. Here's another chance. This will be Yeboah trying to curl it to the back post. He hit it a little bit too high, and there's Minnesota, who had a bulk of the pressure, but then Charlotte started to pick it up, and this is BL playing it across, and what a stop by the fullback Marcanic, cutting in front of his keeper Callender to deny Liel Abada the first goal of this match, and there you're getting another look at it. Callender could have probably had the save because he was scurrying over as well. And here's Abada again, and then the acrobatic shot by Eden Taklamade. That opened the scoring to give Charlotte the 1-0 lead, and certainly a sensational finish. Not an enormous amount of pressure on the shooter, but it was the combination here. That ball slipped through, and Liel Abada, they are looking for better things from him, the designated player, and a wonderfully gifted little ball over the top to open the scoring for Taklamadi. And it was Slongwane for Minnesota, who ended up getting one on a breakaway. One-on-one with the keeper. He beat Kalina, and that's where we stand at 1-1. It'll be Minnesota in their blue kits. On our left in the dark black, it's Charlotte on the right. Conditions are beautiful here in Indio. It was in the mid-80s here earlier in the tournament. Now we've got mid-70s weather, and I'm sure the players are thankful for that. We're underway here. Alan Chapman is in the middle, getting some preseason work himself, the two-time MLS Referee of the Year. And we'll see, and I don't believe there are any changes. Wouldn't expect it. Both coaches have said they're going to try to push players to at least 60, if not 90 here in this match today to prepare for their season openers. Charlotte at St. Louis, Minnesota at Austin a week from today. Tim Ream takes a glance up the field before he receives. Ream with his 281 appearances for Fulham. What a massive career he's had at the age of 38, trying to hang strong and help the U.S. succeed this summer in the World Cup. That's Kalina well out of his goal, approached by Yeboah, so he'll release. A lot of space on the right, and that's where Privet is. Now Nathan Byrne. Abada was on the run down the right flank, but Byrne held up. Luca Della Torre. San Diego last year from Celta Vigo. He was on loan. Now it's a permanent transfer here to Charlotte FC. Zaha takes a tumble. Foul or throw. Looks like they'll put it down, and the most fouled player in MLS a season ago draws one against DJ Taylor. DJ Taylor, he played at North Carolina FC for 83 games. That's the most recent NASL, which folded. And now at Minnesota, 95 games, but just 7 in 2025. He approaches. Here's a combination and a ball that was scuffed across by Schnegg. So Schnegg getting in deep from his left back position and wasn't able to get quality with the left foot. Charlotte, high pressure, but they're anticipating before they apply, as this is Morris Dugan, the 25-year-old from Germany, who first went to Iowa Lakes Community College and then that's the time that he prepared and then turned pro. Gressel with a hard run inside of Pereira. Doesn't get the ball, but does pop out, now has it on the far flank. Gressel is 32 years old and most noted for his delivery from the right when he had 14 assists the MLS Cup championship year for Atlanta United. He's playing a more interior position in what is a 3-4-2-1 shape, in essence, for Minnesota. That one easily picked off by Della Torre from Longwane, the goal scorer with the turnover. And here's Toklamati. He had the goal for Charlotte. Byrne pops high into the air. A head ball towards the back post, and Zaha beaten to the spot by Drake Callender. Callender, the former Inter Miami goalkeeper, ousted there by Oscar Ustari. And now Dane St. Clair is there, the former Minnesota keeper. So it was a bit of a swap there. St. Clair now likely to be the number one for Miami, and Callender the number one for Minnesota. Minnesota slowing things down under Cameron Knowles, first-year head coach, named in January to replace Eric Ramsey, who left for West Brom. Not going well there. In the FA Cup today, West Brom falling to Norwich 3-1. Comes Minnesota. So Eric Ramsey, the former Minnesota coach, shot from distance, and it was deflected. And that means Minnesota will get the corner. Triantis, the 22-year-old from Sydney, Australia. He was the one that took the shot and drew the corner ball. So Eric Ramsey has managed 7 games with West Brom, 4 losses and 3 draws. As today was an FA Cup result, but they're fighting to avoid relegation in the championship. One of the reasons he was brought in. Curling ball from Pereira. And that's Privet at the back post getting the first head on it for Charlotte. Recovered by Markanek rather. Pereira on the other end. And Ashley Westwood, he got himself positioned between Pereira and Julian Gressel, who was standing at the top of the area. And Westwood took the worst for it, and also his team has to now defend a corner kick. That's Gressel showing short, back to Pereira. That one floats over a hit. The wind is blowing in that manner. Maybe by design, but probably a little bit too far for Dugan. Quick restart. Luca Della Torre. Byrne drives the ball to the left, and Zaha looking to have some fun now, working against Taylor. And what a wonderful 1v1 defending maneuver. Little scissor from Zaha, and that was Longwane, not Taylor, who defended on that, so credit to the goal scorer. And now it's 2-1, and Toklamati has a brace. A floating service misjudged by Drake Callender, and now Charlotte goes up by a goal. So Toklamati, who came in so effectively last year when Patrick Ajamong transferred to Darby County, finished the season with 11, and now he's got 2 on the day to give Charlotte the 2-1 advantage. And that started when Nathan Byrne was able to drive that ball cross field to Vine Zaha. Hlongwane on the defense, but it was won back immediately by Minnesota. Ball circulated, served, and Taklamati. That's from 2 yards out into an empty net. Byrne, who played 127 games for Wigan, was with Darby County. Ajamong's home now through 2022 before his arrival here in Charlotte. As for Taklamati, the Israeli, started with Charlotte as the key player on the 2 team, but in the entirety almost of 2024 he was on the Crown Legacy 2 team, and then started the year with the first team in 25 and has impressed since. Hlongwane with the glance over the shoulder to see where the defender was, and Schnegg did well to follow the check and force Hlongwane back, and ball switched, and no call as now Charlotte will come back the other way. Some shouts from some of the Minnesota United supporters. Certainly not a bad idea for that group to maybe escape for a few days here to Indio, California. My flight back to New Jersey tomorrow morning. I hear things have warmed up. It's in the 30s. Will Trapp. And here's Taylor. No real hearty warm-ups going on with any of the reserves on either side, so these original starters are going to hang in there for a little bit longer. Deflected shot. That was Pereira, who slipped as he was winding up, and that certainly impacted how much velocity he had on that one. And Kalina just said thank you, and Charlotte with Abada. Zaha on the switch. Here comes Schnegg on the overlap, and that forces the defense to move a little bit, and the combination BL back to Zaha, a bit behind the London, England native, who plays internationally for Ivory Coast, and 36 caps with that group. Zaha played in 3 AFCON games this past tournament. First time Pereira slips it through. Yaboa trying to work something out as he gets towards the end line. He's bottled up, so wisely he'll play it back, and he'll try to get on the reverse. Delatorre got a piece of that, and that impacted it. 1 versus 1 here. Taklamati with Dugan, and Minnesota gets the best of it. Taklamati. Alan Chapman says play on. There was a foul there committed by Delatorre, but Minnesota for the moment had the advantage, but overhit on the delivery, and here comes Ashley Westwood. Westwood right in the middle of the park, trying to adjust and see if he can find it Instead, it's changed to Ream. Ashley Westwood, 147 games with Aston Villa, 162 with Burnley. Before arriving in Charlotte. And he and his family, they adore it here. And that's genuine. Schnegg. Zaha. 2 versus 3 there. Nice little split to Toklamati. He was thinking about returning it to Zaha, but there was some coverage there. So Biel, who had more space, gets it. Zaha again trying the combo. Ball poked loose, and Schnegg will let it go because that's going to be a corner kick for Charlotte. Toklamati with a pair of goals. Charlotte leads it 2-1 against Minnesota United. Charlotte lost to San Jose 1-0 in the opener here. And that's the only official game they've played in the Invitational. Zaha. Biel with Ream at the back post. So was Toklamati, and it was Toklamati who got the header. Ream now racing back into a defensive position. Toklamati on a hat trick. Hard run by Gressel. He was hoping that maybe Yeboah, who had checked into the midfield and perhaps had his foot stepped on. He's trying to limp it off at the moment. But Gressel had raced him behind, and Yeboah unable to deliver. Pereira inadvertently went off the right arm. No call from the referee. Zaha, he's fouled. He's just so much fun to watch, and the histrionics are a part of it, no question. But the talent, Zaha, is the most important part of his game. How about 275 games with Crystal Palace? Yep, the legendary figure there. 67 goals in regular games. And he's up now slowly. His ball's on the opposite side. Byrne takes a glance to see where Zaha is, but it's Schnegg who sneaks up from the fullback position. He'll be closed down by Hlongwane. Hlongwane and Markanek, they have to do a lot of running. The GPS probably shows more mileage than any of the other field players because they are those wingbacks that have to race back to defend, but also you've seen them how often that they've gotten into the scoring area. In fact, Hlongwane has the lone goal for Minnesota. Well done by Triantis and Gressel to get some freedom for Minnesota. They're surging forward now with a hope for the equalizer. Hlongwane, the goal scorer. The layoff, and that's Trapp finding Pereira. The underlap is Yeboah, and Gressel couldn't come up with a Toklamati, and neither could Markanek. 2 attempts at some sideways finishes or overhead kicks. Gressel not as acrobatic as Toklamati, whose first goal today was of the spectacular variety for Charlotte. It opened the scoring here. All right, we're past the half-hour mark. We're expecting that Nathan Byrne, Ashley Westwood, and Tim Ream, they weren't going to, at least the plan was, go much past the hour mark. That's on the Charlotte side. Pineda, obviously he's given liberty to drift. We've seen him on the right, the left, too much on that. And Gressel again with a hard penetrating run. Not enough space, though, to play that one for Pineda. When he has freedom and no pressure and the ball's on his left foot, the players ahead of him need to consider those sorts of movements. He'll find you. 11 assists last year will attest to that. Out of the 56 goals for Minnesota. Those are primary assists. That is not a hockey assist, as it is so often referred to. It gets a little confusing because there are different outlets. The MLS box scores count second assists, while most other publications or services do not. So you'll see a variety of assist numbers. Certainly if assist is in my contract as a bonus, I would want to use the MLS method. Good through ball from Hlongwane. The cutback. Ashley Westwood, the captain. He's there to clean up the obviously dangerous ball, and it will be a corner kick for Minnesota. Julian Gressel. 6 goals and 12 assists in 2019. The 14 assists in 2018, both for Atlanta United. And you can see why when you look at that sort of delivery. Pineda avoiding 2 and getting the shot off, and it's right at the keeper, Caldina. He parries it down and then is able to catch it cleanly. He was looking to go quickly, but now we'll slow up. Here's a ball that puts Westwood under pressure from Privet. No problem. And now Ream given time to look ahead and dissect his next move, which is a pass to his center back partner. Ball played out by Ream. A little bit behind the Schnegg and couldn't catch up to it. Well past the hour mark, and now some movement in the Charlotte FC bench area. So too Minnesota. Players getting in a bit of a jog and some quick foot movements in a warm-up situation. Schnegg high into the air, but not yet out of danger. Toklamati comes back to get it. It was Biel trying to judge the bounce on the turf, and then Toklamati just cut in front of him and one of the Minnesota players to win it back. Nice ball from Westwood. So Charlotte finding a bit of a rhythm with their 2-1 lead. Schnegg, Zaha. Off the ball, Liel Abada had cut in, seeing if he could offer an option to Della Torre, who obviously it's a reset now as Charlotte maintains possession. not necessary to squeeze something in, especially with a 1-goal lead. Quick restart Zajas after he was taken down by Taylor. Sliding tackle Gressel, but Charlotte back on it. And Dean Smith probably reluctant to make any changes at this point because he's getting some very good play from the first unit. And the shot from distance by Abada is wide. Here's the Abada, just frees himself on the dribble. And missed the mark by a couple of yards. Working hard to get into support was Privet. He had to drop off about 15, 20 yards, and he was working hard to get there in support of Nathan Byrne. And that allows Charlotte to work their way out. But Byrne trying to save it, and that one's intercepted by Pereira. Ball forward. And Yaboa saying it's a corner, and Alan Chapman disagrees, or indeed, he is now pointing in that direction. Kelvin Yaboa, good mentality. He had every notion from the time he got that ball. He was going to make a move and see if he could beat Kalina at the near post. We've seen Kalina earlier and throughout his career. He covers that post well. Not a lot of room there, but it is a corner kick, and Gressel with good delivery. This time he drives it. He curled the last one. He's trying to find Pereira, who wound up for the volley sidewinder, but cutting in front was Charlotte. And this is a 3 versus 2, almost 4 versus 2 break. And Zaha, 2 versus 1 here on the near side if he wants it. And he does find Privet. Crossing ball. And that one driven across the penalty spot. And the target was Toklamati, and Duggan did well. Morris Dugan, rather. 6th overall pick of the draft. All-American in college. He came over from Germany like Gressel. Delatorre, Toklamati skips and just misses the hat trick. Toklamati is so good with the tight touches. This is not an easy ball that's played in, but takes the first touch, the second sets up the shot, and the third just wide of the mark. New York City, San Jose, that will be played and will be the finale here at Coachella on the men's side. The women are coming in. Their day one tomorrow. Kansas City Current, San Diego Wave, Bay FC, Houston Dash, Portland Thorns, Angel City, and the expansion Denver Summit under former New York City FC coach Nick Cushing will take on the Utah Royals. That's all happening tomorrow here in Indio, and they'll have a second match day 6 days later here at Coachella. And then in less than 2 months, it'll be the music festival. I remember Sabrina Carpenter's going to be here. I don't remember all the acts. My son has a favorite, Turnstile. He said they're going to be here. I didn't see them listed, but he'll know more than me. Possible collision here that impacted the head of DJ Taylor. And now we're going to get some substitutions. Ashley Westwood is going to give way. Will Cleary, the number 35, has come into the game. Do my best to relay. Brent Baronico has just jogged onto the field, so he's into the match. DJ Taylor will stick with it. Kelvin Yaboa fighting off two. And as that ball's cleared, it's Taylor back on it. Good switch to find Trapp, who shows some skill to bring that down cleanly and then get it off to the opposite side to Dugan. He's got some space to dribble, then finds Gressel, and here's Will Trapp. Will Trapp is the ultimate pivot. He's just constantly improving his angle, changing his angle to be in support of as many balls as he can as they're played right to left. Full volley is saved. That's Perea with the shot and Kalina with the save. Minnesota coming close to equalizing. And now it's Della Torre, not a speedster, so he'll pull up and leave it for Zaha, who initially made the pass forward. Schnegg, he was racing on the left, but Della Torre couldn't find him. Jabril Diani in the midfield. He's the number 28. So he has come in for Ashley Westwood, pairing with Luca Della Torre. Brent Bronico has taken a forward position. It would appear Liel Abada, Bronico in the mid, just a part of the mobility, it would seem, for Charlotte. Up a goal, 2-1. Toklamati has both. Hlongwane, the goal scorer for Minnesota, on the ball, leaves it for Taylor, and now Will Trapp again. And there's that angle of support, always there. Toklamati fighting back defensively to take it away from a Minnesota substitute, Owen Jean. This is Abada, and he just pulls it wide right. Boxhall running with him. Abada is down. Boxhall bent over and let's make sure he's okay. And so it's just the pace of Abada and some upper body strength. You could see Boxhall got his arms up, and but was unable to stop the progress of Abada. He did alter the shot by forcing him away from the goal, which is important. And Abada unable to get it on goal. And he remains down. We're going to get a look at Perea and this shot again. That is velocity. There's no chance of Kalina catching that. What goalkeepers hope to do is not force a rebound right in front of goal, and that's exactly what happened, but Minnesota unable to capitalize. That's just reaction, though, by Kalina. There's not much you could do about that, but make sure it doesn't move its way past you. Keep your hands together and hope for the best on the rebound. Abada is up and running. Inside of a quarter of an hour left in this one. Behind us, it's been a high-scoring affair. Not early on, but it's 2-2 between Portland and the Chicago Fire on Field 1. We're at Field 2 here. Gressel. The cutback, Hlongwane wasn't there, but Della Torre was. Bit of a weak clearance, so Owen Jean's able to keep it in play for the moment. That's Dugan to Gressel. And here's Will Trapp. Good firm ball to Perea. Gets it to his left. The defenders know, Zaha knows, and he's doing everything in his power to make sure he doesn't release a shot. Did well defensively. And here's Yaboa. He's closed down. A lot of numbers around the ball, so that's a good defensive tactic, especially in the area. And Toklamati battling there with Boxhall. No referee call, and play continues. They both got a piece of each other. Owen Jean out of the midfield. Kelvin Yaboa had kind of drifted to the left. He's trying to hide out there and see if he can work his way in and get a shot off. That one was blocked, though, by Diani. Jabril Gianni's offering a good midfield presence for Charlotte. They've got some depth in there. Delatorre, Westwood, Gianni, Bronico. I was talking to Dean Smith prior, and depth in the midfield, in particular in MLS. He said it's such a high-energy league. It's, as he put it, oftentimes you're in games that you feel like it's a basketball game, end to end, and depth in the midfield is critical. Combination halted by Taylor. No, Zaha wanted the call. Didn't get it from Alan Chapman. Poclamati working the 1-2 with Zaha, who remains on his derriere. And the orange boots, now he's up. Not too much of it appealed. Poclamati is going to take a seat. Two more changes for Charlotte. Archie Goodwin is the number 7 playing up top, so he'll be the front runner up the middle. Lead the line. And Tiger Smalls, that's him approaching Dugan defensively. He's coming to the game for Charlotte. Zaha on it. I'm sure he wants to play 90 to continue building his fitness. Privet. Morrison Ajamong is the number 64, 21-year-old Ghanaian. So he's playing right central defense. Came in for Ream, and now Privet will move to the left. Part of his versatility, he's comfortable on both sides at the back. Charlotte, one of their responsibilities is to successfully replace Adilson Malanda, who transferred to Middlesbrough, became certainly in his time one of the top central defenders in the league. Ajamong is hopeful that he can provide some depth as well. Zaha trying to find Goodwin. Zaha still in the area, bouncing ball. Trap is there. And Charlotte back on it. Gianni. Delatorre. And there's a player down, Boxhall, so, and a yellow card, which is, looks like it was shown to, well, I don't want to guess, but Schnegg was the closest to Alan Chapman at the moment. It was drawn. Boxhall now with Alan Chapman. And Chapman, I think, is trying to calm him down. Apparently, while he was down, there may have been some monkey business as players were kind of all in the area. And I think Boxhall took exception to whatever may have occurred, but Alan Chapman, the good referee that he is calming things down before he restarts. Eight minutes to play in this one, with New York City FC and San Jose on deck. Timo Werner, by the way, will not be playing for San Jose. He is not yet in the area, has not yet arrived. The expectation is sometime next week, and that was according to San Jose yesterday. And James Rodriguez, if you're on the Minnesota side, curious about him. He has not been able to compete at Coachella, although he is with his teammates, but does not have the paperwork yet to legally compete. So that's the situation with the pair of highly anticipated players, international stars who have joined MLS. And we'll get a chance to see them soon. Owen Jean. Gressel, freedom on the ball, but Yeboah started a little early. Well done by Privet. He read long ball service. There was no pressure on Gressel, so took a step forward, and that kept Yeboah, or maintained that Yeboah would be offside. More substitutions. Schnegg is off. And Cleary is on. He'll play on the left. I had him on earlier. I think he had come on and then went back off. And well, here he is entering the fray at left back. Will Cleary, out of Stanford University. With some freedom, Hlongwane, can he tie it? Save Kalina. The 2024 MLS goalkeeper of the year came up big, and that might have directly gone off his head. And Alan Chapman whistled it and waved the trainer on immediately, and some of the players, as you could see, there is some concern there too. So that save was with the body, not with the hands. All right, well, he's now sitting up. Hlongwane. He scored in the opening half, which made it 1-1 before the interval. And now we're going to get a chance at how close he came to making it 2-2 and getting his own brace to match Toklamati. And there you see right off the side of the head of Christian Kalina. Tyler Miller, recently required, is one of the backup keepers along with Isaac Walker. And he'll stay. And gets the polite applause from some of those in the bleachers section. Not a bad turnout for this. Nothing like when LAFC or the LA Galaxy play. But we have Angel City supporters here. So they made the 2-hour trip in. Angel City playing tomorrow, 1 o'clock local against Portland, the Thorns. The NWSL coming to town for Coachella. 8 of their teams will be here for a couple of matches and training. The training environment is particularly spectacular and everything well groomed. You always have this scenic background, though, wherever you're training in the area. Mostly here at this facility. There are other fields beyond. 3 game fields in action today to finish off the Invitational on the men's side. Owen Jean, play has resumed. Little toe poke forward to Yeboah, and Kalina, after being startled with that shot by Hlongwane, comes off his line, brave to take on Yeboah. And here's Hlongwane on it again. Yeboah is down inside the 6-yard box. Kalina was helping him up. He is now up and out of the area, or at least the 6-box area. Goodwin can't maintain possession. Boxall just toe pokes it forward with the right. It's out of play, but Minnesota can press in this end. All right, we're going to get a look as Yeboah pushes his way through, and Kalina well off his line. And that's the second time that Kalina has prevented Yeboah from getting on the score sheet by coming off hard and in a 50-50 sort of situation, coming out on the best end. Shoulder to shoulder, no call. Dugan getting it away from Jack Neely. Another one of the second half reserves for Charlotte. Will Trapp, the 33-year-old from Columbus, Ohio. Played a lot of games for the Crew, 185 coming out of the Crew Academy. So he was a local boy, making good. Gianni. A lofted service, glancing header. That was Rodolfo Aloco, who's into the game also on the left, who was able to place that service. Charlotte still in control, up a goal. We're 30 seconds away from the 90-minute mark. Oftentimes we've seen the referee choose not to add time, but there have been a couple of stoppages, so we may see that from Alan Chapman. He just looked at his watch, did Alan Chapman. We've surpassed the 90-minute mark, and here we go. Bay and Koulibaly is in the midfield also, the number 20 for Charlotte. Trapp with the interception. Early ball to Perea as he turns and tries to feed it forward. He's fouled. And Alan Chapman, he let the play run just to see how it might go for Minnesota. Now he's bringing it back since they were unable to advance. So Minnesota has elected to push the envelope with a majority of their starters to get them to 90 minutes as they prepare for their opener at Austin with Nico Estevez yesterday, and wondered if he was already preparing for the intense defending of set pieces and especially throw-ins. It's something that you have to add to your week of preparation when you go against Minnesota. Although we haven't seen too many launched today. Michael Boxhall, he's been pretty quiet on the throw-in side of things. Maybe just saving it for the regular year. Padea, second ball. That's Boxhall with a shot, and he'll score occasionally, majority of the time, in a set-piece situation like that, but closer to goal. He does have 3 career goals, and just as we mentioned it, Boxhall will now launch. And there's what you get when you play Minnesota. And Gianni was able to win the first header for Charlotte. And here they come out of the back, and there's the final whistle from Alan Chapman. Eden Toklamati with a goal in the first half. He matched that in the second half. In between, Banji Longwane scored for Charlotte FC. And that's your final score. Charlotte 2 and Minnesota United 1. Wonderful piece of action as both teams will open 1 week for the day. Charlotte at St. Louis and Minnesota at Austin. Great to have you with us today. Thanks to our production staff. My name is Glenn Crooks. Again, the final score at the Coachella Valley Invitational 2026, final day of competition. Charlotte 2 and Minnesota 1. Have a great day, everybody.